evening. I say, having had that minor rant the last time I said good evening when I was recording a podcast. But, good evening, and welcome to Where Are Spoilers. I am Adam. It is 9:45 on Saturday, and I finished Paper Girls. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to say I was dreading it, because I was looking forward to this show. My thing was, I was hoping it would not be binge model. I was hoping they would do a weekly release like they do with The Boys and with Invincible on Amazon, and Wheel of Time and the impending Lord of the Rings show. But, oh my god, it's below $4 a gallon. Astounding. But, you know, if we look at, like, what the show was, it's like, I saw it's like 8 episodes. Holy fuck. I'm gonna be here all day. And they were half-hour episodes, which is nice. And I think it's one of those things where it's like the half-hour drama. The half-hour drama is something that should not be overlooked. It's a, what's it called? It's tight, cohesive storytelling, so you get that kind of forces you into that thing. It forces you into that headspace, so I see why it works in this context. But yeah, the show is very good, and I think the biggest praise I can give this show is that there are 4 lead girl actors who are young, like kid actors, and not a one of them is annoying or infuriating to listen to for any length of time. Like, it's like, you know, like the line that a kid actor has to walk between acting their age and then also not being annoying about it is a very fine line. Look at how Leia is portrayed in in Obi-Wan, where it's like she's wise beyond her years. One scene, the next scene, she's whining about being hungry and wanting a toy, and like, I don't want to do that. It doesn't always work. Here it works, because these characters feel fundamentally the same every time they're on screen, and they always work. And what you get from this show is you get a group of 12-year-old girls who are about to have their lives changed based on the fact that they are, you know, headed into adolescence, and they get sent forward in time. They go to the future. They go first to 2019, then to 1999. And they get to see how their lives change over the course of 9 years, and then, or over the course of 29 years, and then again 9 years. Which gives 29 years. Which gives you this sense of, you know, this sense of looking at one version of their life. Because it's not clear if we're dealing with the multiverse or if we're dealing with a timeline that's malleable. Jason Mantzoukas isn't exactly clear on that over the course of the show, but if it's a malleable timeline, then they're looking at one possible outcome that could very much change. And getting that sense of awareness of what could happen based on where they are now and how things, you know, go there. They get to see what mistakes could be made, and they get to see that, you know, like, it's a more, not grounded view, but more like, motherfucker, like, do you not understand how to merge? Asshole. It's not, it is more like you get this whole view of your life that gives you a greater understanding. Like, there's one of the girls who goes to the future, and she finds her brother, and she talks to him, and she decides that she's going to, and she meets them, and it's like, well, she died years ago, and she gets cancer and dies as a kid. She dies on her 16th birthday, or before her 16th birthday. And it's just this, you know, this girl now has to live with the fact that she knows, like, that is a terrible thing to have to deal with. Like, to know that there is an incurable disease in your imminent future, and there is nothing you can do to stop that, is a lot to deal with for a person. Then there is the girl who watched her older self die, and she saw what her life had amounted to up until that point, and then she's like, well, what's the point of living now if this is what we're going to be? Then there's the girl who's getting ready for her bat mitzvah, and she, her family kind of has her life picked out for her. And she doesn't want to go down the path that her parents want her to. And then when she sees her older self, she gets the chance to see, like, okay, well, now she's going to film school. She's not getting her MBA like her parents wanted her to. She's going to film school at NYU. So she'd be, and then consider it's 99, to be around the same time Adam Goldberg's going there. But, like, she's doing that, and it's not what her parents wanted, but, it's what she is. And then there's a real identity crisis, too, that she goes through when she finds out that, she's, like, it's a weird way to handle it. And Brian K. Vaughan's a great writer. Moments like that, I don't think he's great at. I think I had a similar issue when I read Y: The Last Man. Maybe I'm definitely thinking of Mark Miller, not Brian K. Vaughan. Mark Miller, who had the superhero who escaped an abortion by, like, she was gonna be aborted and then she teleported into the uterus of the woman doing the abortion. Oh my god, I don't remember what fucking comic that was. It's just ridiculous. But it's her finding out that she's gay and then not being able to grapple with that fact. There's a really great scene where she talks to the girlfriend of her older self, and it's, you can tell she doesn't know, she doesn't want to say it out loud. But again, you get into this weird conundrum, and I feel the same way, like, looking at, how The Flash kind of handled Barry and Iris' relationship the first few seasons, where it's less Iris falls in love with Barry, it's more Barry's in love with Iris, and then Iris gets beaten into submission about, okay, well, I guess I'm fated to be married to Barry, and, it kind of feels like that. Like, she doesn't have the moment herself to realize that. It is kind of like she sees herself in the future, and then it's like, oh, well, that's what that is. And it's just a great show all around. Everyone in the show does a great job. Jason Mantzoukas is a great choice for the villain, because when you look at shows like this now that have the science fiction, like, one of the things that you'll notice more and more if you read science fiction in the modern era is that we have reached a corpocratic version of the future. Like, even looking back to Star Wars in the 90s and the 2000s, it's like, it basically is like, this private company has a mercenary force, a military force in the form of these droids, and they are going to blockade a planet into submission with their demands. Like, that is, it is very much the story of overgrown capitalism, and that's kind of what this is too. And they explain it pretty early on, where it's like, they discovered time travel, and then they were afraid that they would lose their power if they had that. So it's like, we're dealing with someone who is a Mark Zuckerberg, and Elon Musk, whatever the fuck Taika Waititi's character's name was in Free Guy. It's that kind of personality you're dealing with, and having that person be the bad guy is refreshing, but at the same time, it's something that will eventually get grating the more it happens. Like, I think this is really the second time that has been portrayed that way, that I can think of in recent memory. But as we get more and more in pop culture with this, like, that thing will get more and will get tedious after a while. then, like, even, like, Once in Future had that, too. The book about, it was, like, a new King Arthur story that came out. It was a science fiction King Arthur story that came out a few years ago, or last year, 2 years ago, I think. Very good book, highly recommended, but, it's kind of that same thing, where it's like, you know, we cannot, like, in this situation, like, the corporations are the government. And science fiction is designed to be a cautionary tale. That's what science fiction is now and forever has been. It is, you know, people using the lens of the future to point out society's ills in the now. And to in this show do that, it works pretty well. As well as to deal with the ethical implications of science fiction as it pertains, time travel as it pertains to the life of the person who is time traveling, and then what are the psychological ramifications of knowing one's own future, because that's not something that we really address. It's like when we see these things, it's like, oh, Marty McFly, you know, finds out his kids are assholes, like, and he's gonna go and fix it. We never deal with the ramifications that lead to that, like, you know, what's it like to know what your ultimate ending is, and how that's going to end. Like, to have a 12-year-old girl stand over her grave that she's 4 years away from being in, and looking at, you know, and talking to another 12-year-old girl, and then seeing her stepmother, who she never got along with, come to the grave and place flowers and cry over the grave, and then her be like, I never understood, why is she here? She never cared about me. It's like, well, she was working, like, and when I go into it, it's like, you know, coping with and dealing, like, getting to talk to her brother and have the mature version of him tell, you know, that what happened in childhood was not okay is a helpful thing too. Hopefully we get a season 2. I want to see how these things last beyond just this season. But we'll wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.